Hey guys, it's Melissa here with Web of Creativity, and today I'm sharing with you the Hidden Secrets mini album. And you can tell I used this gold paper, foil paper, and it's catching my light. So I used some of that for some gears and clocks and things. And so this album is using Graphic 45's Imagine paper collection. It has some really cool hot air balloons in it and some gears. I really like it. This album's a pretty big guy. He's 7 inches by 10.5. And we got a pretty thick spine here. 6 pages. Yeah, 6 pages. And then I got a little bit of... So I'm going to show you some of the album, and then... because I have 6 unique pages, and then I do them all over again for the second half of the album. So I'm going to show you just half of it, and then at the end of the video I'll show you all the pages. So this is the construction video, and I have a tutorial on my blog along with kits for this project, and the kits do come with the gold cutouts. So I did cut out a bunch of gears and some clock pieces, which the clock is the Graphic 45 clock. So all that comes with the kit, with the chipboards and the papers and cardstock. Everything's on my blog, www.webofcreativity.net. So we're going to open right here. And so I just have a little pocket for Graphic 45's ephemera cards. So these are 4x6 cards, and then they have some smaller cards as well. So I just got this cute little pocket up down there, and then one up behind my page. So this is the first surprise element, and it's just a pull out. So it's a waterfall pull. So it's really cool. I really like this element, and I think it'll look really good once some pictures are on here. And then I have some tabs onto the side, and I used the new tab board. Well, it's new to me. It's We Are Memory Keepers tab punch board, and I really like this board. Making these tabs were really fun. So my next page is just a couple little pockets. Here's the ephemera. And then we're going to open those and have just this big area right here for your pictures. Now this element is from my Ultimate Waterfall mini album. So it has my flaps and then more flaps. Alright, this next page we have a pocket to fit a couple of tags, and you might recognize this as a twist and pop tag, card, not tag. So I just added it as an element in my album. I thought was really neat. Then this side we have a pocket at the top. And then with a couple tags. And then we open this guy up. And we got a little saying in the middle of the oval there. I really like this element too. And then we have our waterfall page. So we got one on both sides. And then the album repeats itself. So I'll show all this at the end of the video. So this is page construction. We're going to work on all the pages. The matting portion I cut down, hopefully enough to make the video not so long. I won't know until I edit. So some of the matting is cut out of the album, but all the page construction, the album construction, cover and attaching the pages are all in here. So let's get started. All right, we are going to work on our main page and our first page. And so with this construction video, what I'm doing is cutting out some of the matting portions and seeing if I can squeeze everything in a reasonable time. We have 6 pages for this album. For front and back, that's a total of 12, and I actually have 6 different pages to show. So first we're going to show the main page, which is 2 sheets. Now everything in the tutorial is the cutting guide and the scoring guide, step-by-step instructions and pictures, and all that's on my blog at www.webofcreativity.net, and the links are below. So I've already scored everything. So the main page is just 2 sheets of paper. One's longer than the other and is scored with 2 score lines. So we're going to fold in the same direction both of those score lines. And then this is going to attach to the tab. But before we do that, we need to punch our tabs. So I have this We Are Memory Keepers tab punch board. Of course, there's other ways to make tabs. But this is what I'm going to start with. So the tab board, we have this little, I guess, stopper piece. I'll put that in the spot. Slide my piece in and punch. Remove that. Flip over. And we're going to line it up. There's 3 lines, small, medium, and large. And we're going to have a medium tab. And then we're going to punch and flip over, and this little guy right here is our cutter, so it's going to cut our paper. And there is our first tab, and all the tab measurements are on the tutorial. So our second tab, and now we have our second tab. So you can see where our tabs are going to line up at. And that's the tab punch board. Alright, so next we folded the 2 score lines. So one of them is our tab. So we're going to cut and taper our corners, which is cutting from the score line at an angle. So again, score line at an angle. Now we're going to add our tape to it. Our tape to our tab. And then attach our page right on top. Just up to the score line. So we have page 1 and 2. Perfect. Alright, now we're going to work on page 1, which is our Waterfall A page. Our first piece is our pocket piece. So we're going to taper our corners up to the score line. And then we're going to fold on our score line. And I use a bone folder to crease the score. Then we're going to add our tape. So making the Waterfall A page, and it goes in 2 places, and on the tutorial it tells you what page it is. Okay, now that we got that taped, we are going to unfold our page to attach easier. And then we're just going to attach it and line it up. Just checking on that. Alright, so we'll take the tape backing off. Okay. Again, we'll line it up with the bottom flush and to the edges flush. Alright. And next we have a bunch of pieces for our hidden waterfall. So these are our flaps. This is, I'm calling an anchor piece. And this is our main piece. It has 4 score lines, if you can see those. And they're all going to get folded in the same direction. And our anchor piece, or not our anchor piece, our pull tab needs to have some, our tabs punched. So I'm just going to punch both sides of our longest piece. Alright. Then we're going to need to add some tape. Alright, now in our 4 scored areas, we're going to add tape to them. So right in this center, alright, the craft is just for the light colored paper. It's hard to see on my white desk. Alright, now that we have all 4 of those taped, then we have our flaps, different sizes. So we're going to attach our longest piece first to the back or the first scored section. So it's going to go flush to the edges. So I have that attached. Then for the next section, I'm going to have the next largest. So I'm going to grab that. and flush to the side. Two more. So now I have 4 flaps. So when I have it anchored, I can pull my tab. There you go. So we're first going to need to cover the pocket with paper, and then we're going to attach our guy here. I'm going to mat him first because I'm going to need to put my anchor piece down as well. Alright, so I matted the pocket. All I did was punch the corners with 1/4 inch corner puncher and then inked it with vintage photo oxide ink. So then this is going to get placed in the center. And the only thing it's being attached is the anchor piece, which gets attached to the very last flap. So when that gets attached, then it gets there. So we're going to go ahead and center it on the last flap. Alright, that looks good. Got our anchor down. Okay, that needs some color. I already cut out all my pieces. And then we're also going to add to this guy too. And punch the corners on that one, tabs on that one. And then for the top part, I'm also going to do, so it's going to be just like a partial mat and then some tabbed pieces at the top. I think it's going to look really cute. Alright, I got everything matted. So I just need my tag in my pocket, but I have some accent tabbed pieces up here, and then got all of my pages matted on my waterfall. So next we're going to work on the page 2 on the inside. Alright, so we have 2 flaps we got to work on, and we have, I drew some of the lines on here so you can see. So we have the top I didn't draw. This is a tab here. So we have a tab on this side, a tab on this side, and then this score line for our pocket. So this section right here on this side and this side from the middle score line is going to get cut. So we're going to cut that with our craft knife. So we're just cutting it to our score line. And then we're going to we're going to taper our corners, so we're just going to cut that at an angle. You can use your scissors if you want. And then we have 2 bottom pieces that we're going to want to taper. And then we have 2 top for a tab at the top. So we're going to want 2 of them cut like this. Alright, then we're going to want to fold on our score lines. So this is, the bottom portion is our pocket. And then we have a tab at the top. It's going to get folded going the opposite direction, so it's going to be in the back. And then we're going to need to add our tape. And then attach our pocket. Alright, so then we have our 2 pockets to attach to our page. Alright, these are little closure pieces, and it just has I corner rounded them with 1/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to just fold on the score line and add tape. Our closures are going to have magnets on them, so that's what these guys are going to be. It's going to have some magnets attached to it. So to get these guys attached, we're going to attach our flaps first. These guys are going to get attached about like so. So we're going to have about 3/8 of an inch on both sides, which will leave us about 1/4 of an inch in the center. So I'm going to turn this so I can see it better. And I'm going to have it flush with the top of our page. So I'm just going to measure about 3/8 inch so I know where I'm going to place it. Run it to the top. Alright, that is our flaps. And then our closure will have about 3/8 from the bottom of the flap. And that's going to be flush to the edge. Yeah. Alright, that looks good. So we're going to go ahead and attach our magnets. Okay, so what I'm going to first do is I added a piece of tape to my magnet. And I'm going to center it on my tab. And then place my second magnet on top of my first one. Add my tape. And close, holding this flat down, close it. There we go. Then I'm going to add tape to the one on there we go. Alright, there's one magnet. Alright, so I'm going to attach to the center of, oops, about like that. Looks good. Hold flat. There we go. Now that we got our magnets, I'm going to mat everything. Alright, so I matted the flat page. It just needs a tag. And there we go. Alright, so for our page 3, these are just flaps. So I have 2 sizes of this and then 4 of these sizes. These are pretty easy. They're just scored a ½ inch for the tab on both of these. So we're just going to fold on the tab line, the score line for a tab, taper our corners, and add our tape to our tab. So we'll do that to both of those. And then for these 4 little guys, same thing, fold on the score line, taper, cut into an angle from the score line, and then add our tape to our tab. So you do that for all 4 of those. So now that all of our tabs are taped, we're going to start with our two larger pieces, and they're going to go in the middle like so. So it's going to be about 1/2 inch from the bottom, centered. So we're going to use our ruler and go 1/2 inch up and center. That's our one flap, and this flap we're just going to butt it up against this one. So I'm just going to line it up with the first flap. And then attach. So that's our first one. And then we have our 4, 2 on each side. So these guys are going to be centered. Like so. So it's kind of, it's these guys are the same size as this guy. So we're just going to have them flush to the bottom and then to the edge. So it's going to be flush to the bottom of this flap and then flush to the edge. So I'm going to turn this guy. I'm going to attach him like I did the other one. I'm going to go ahead and line him up evenly. And this is going to get attached right before that score line. So you don't want to go over that score line because you still need the page to fold. So now we have those two guys. And these two guys are going to butt up. Perfect. So I'm actually going to move him out of the way. Okay, and then our next guy. So we have those two and then those guys right there. Then we have our magnet piece that's going to go right in the middle. It'll be in the center. And then we have a closure piece that's going to be on top to hold these guys down, which is going to probably be one of these ephemera cards. So we'll do that for the center. And then we do have our mats that I've already prepped. That I think are going to look so. That is our image that we got for our front for this first piece. So I've already got them cut down and corner chomped and inked. So I'm going to go ahead and attach my paper on my flaps, and then we'll work on the magnet closure on the back. Alright, so I matted everything, and then next we need to attach our magnets. So I have a gold strip top and bottom. It's just a little accent strip. So you find the center point of where your magnet's going to go. I drew a circle. So what I did was I just closed my two sheets and just moved it to the halfway point. And then drew a circle around the magnet so I know where I'm going to place it. So I'm going to attach my magnet to the center here. I will be covering it with my mat, but we're going to, this is going to be our closure piece. So I'm just going to find the middle of where the magnet's going to go. And cover my magnet with a piece of tape. Is that centered? Yes. And then I have my card I'm going to use for the mat. Alright, so let me attach my mats. Alright, and there we have our finished page. We have our magnet closure matted. We open, and there's our full-size mat. Okay. Now we move on to our backside. Okay, so our fourth page is a twist and pop card. It is an actual card. So I'm just going to make it a piece of the page. It's 3 pieces. So our first piece, I put some lines on so you can see hopefully see where they are. So I have a score line right in the middle and then 2 tabs. So the top part of the tabs will be cut off. The bottom parts will be staying attached. So I'm going to grab my mat here and cut off the top 2 tabs. So we're just going to trim from the top to that center line, that score line, and then taper the corner. So I'm just going to use my craft knife to do that. Flip it over. And then cut at an angle from the score line. So this is our piece. This is our main piece. Alright, I erased the pencil lines. So we need to also taper the bottom 2 corners. So we're going to go ahead and cut those corners off. And then we're going to fold our tabs to the back side. And then add our tape. Now this has tabs because it's going to be our pocket. So it's going to be our pocket piece, and instead of having a tab at the bottom, I'm just going to add tape. But not so it tapes the tab down. So I'm going to hold the tab down, and we're going to go about a 1/2 inch away from the sides, because we don't need these guys taped down. So that's 1/2 inch away from both of the sides. All right, and then the front part gets folded the opposite direction. And then we have our tabs. All right, that's our base page. All right, next we have these two pieces. This long piece is scored 3 ways, and this just gets an accordion fold. So we're just going to fold it in the center, and then fold the sides down. And that's it. So that one's done. This one has several score lines on it, and I will show you the one that's diagonal. So we have a center score line in the center, and then we have then we mark in 4 places and draw a line. From there, I have a black line at my 6-inch mark. It helps. So I just line up the 2 points in that line with a spot on the score, and then just score that section right there and do it diagonal. So I have 3 score lines, 1 in the center, and then 2 that are diagonal. So first, we're going to fold it in half, then unfold it. Then we're going to fold on that diagonal line, unfold, and then fold on that diagonal line. And then we can close it up. So again, these goes inwards and it gets closed. So that's what we're gonna want as our mechanism. This is our mechanism piece. All right, so once this is folded, we're going to run our bone folder to get it nice and flat. And then we're going to add our tape to the triangle piece on both sides. All right, repeat for the second side. All right, so before we attach our mechanism, we need to cover it with pattern paper and attach our magnets. So I got a magnet here, and I'm just going to attach it close to the bottom and the center, roughly about there. I'm going to close this guy and cover him with tape. So then I have my 2 inside mats I'm going to attach first before I attach my mechanism. Alright, so now that I got my pieces attached, I put a little dot right in the middle. So the center of this, we're going to line this guy up, flush to the score line. So when this folds, we're going to attach it like that. So we want this guy in the center. So we're going to go ahead and remove the tape backing. And attach our mechanism to the center. I'm going to alright, he is attached. Then we're going to attach the second part to the top of the card. Alright, so then we're just going to close the card to attach it. And that's our mechanism. Alright, so our mechanism is attached. Alright. Okay, then we need to attach our accordion piece. So we're going to have to center this guy up. I'm just marking a little center piece. Line it up with the center, which is the center score line. Okay, so then going to fold the right accordion piece over and draw a line just for the top half, going to the middle score line. Then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, except it's going to be on the bottom half. So we're going to draw a line there and move this. So we have this score line right here and the score line right here. So we're going to add tape to our two corners. And we're going to make sure the tape doesn't go over the score line. It's just going to be for the top piece right above it and for the bottom piece right below it. Alright, I just erased my lines. So I'm going to line this up in the center. And remove my tape. Close. So you're going to have to fold it a couple of times to get that mechanism to work smoothly, which I think I only had to do that a couple times, but we're going to get that lines flattened. And there's our pop card. So I got all my pieces ready to mat, which I probably should have matted first. So I'm going to tell you to mat your piece before you attach it. And then I cut out my little pieces. So I'm going to go ahead and get that matted. And then we're going to attach it to our page. Alright, so we need to attach our closure piece. Since I've already added tape to the back, I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the back. And then put my little piece back on the tape. So I'm just measuring and getting the center spot. Right there. And then attaching. Then I'm going to put my little tape backing back on there and attach it in just a second to the page. So this is going to, there we go. And so I just need to cover that guy up. So I added my gold strips, and then I'm going to attach him about 1/4 from the bottom, and even with the 2 strips at the top. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to add a little more tape where that tab was. Easier to work with if it's flat. I guess I should get an idea where the center is going to be. Alright, about 1/4 up. And I can't see the top. I'm going to have to turn this around. I'd rather it be lined up at the top than at the bottom. So I'm just going to attach this upside down. Alright. Okay. Alright, there we go. And that's how I matted the inside. I got a little cutout piece. Alright, there is that portion, and then I have to decorate the top part, and then there's of course a pocket. Alright, and then I added my matting to the top half of the page. I just need to add my tag and pocket. So this, and then a mat for my little tab here. Alright, so that's it's 4 pages. Alright, time to work on the next set. Alright, so our next page is page 5. The beginning of the second set here. So we got all our pieces. So our middle piece in our element is from pattern paper. And then I cut an oval. I think it's a Sizzix die, just from a nesting dies of ovals. You could do a circle or square. So I have all these pieces. So our first piece is, this is our main page piece. Scored on 2 sides, and this just gets folded. So let's fold on our score lines. And that's done. Then we have 3 hinge pieces. This is to make a pocket on the back. So we'll just fold those in half. And then these get tapered, so we're just going to cut the corners while it's folded in half. And then we add tape to both sides. So we're going to go ahead and cut those. Oops. Okay. Then we have our mechanism. So these also have tabs, but what we need to do with these is cut like a flag bottom to it. So we're going to mark in the center. So we have our score line, which is our tab. So that is at the top. So we want to cut, make a mark in the center, an inch up. So we're going to do an inch up. We're going to measure. And we're going to mark. And then from that center point to the corner, we'll draw a line. We're going to do that on this side. You'll do that to both pieces, and then we're going to cut it with a craft knife or scissors. So you'll cut that flag shape out of both pieces, and then we're going to fold on the score line and create our tab. So we're going to, actually those don't need to be cut, so, but we need to add tape. Let me get my tape. Alright, so do our second piece. Alright, I changed my mind and went ahead and tapered both of the tabs and got those trimmed. And then on our centerpiece, we'll fold on our tabs, one on both sides, taper our corners. I think this gold yellow clock paper is my favorite. Alright, then we're going to add our tape. Alright, so next we're going to need to attach our mechanism first, and that's going to go in the center. So I'm just checking placement. Alright, first things first is attaching our piece that goes in the center that's going to be revealed. So this little piece, you can choose what you want. You can choose a sticker from the collection or a cut apart piece, just something that's going to fit in the oval. Alright, so I already measured my area, and so I already measured my area, and then I made a little mark of where it is going to be, and then double checked it with the placement of my oval. Alright, then I got my flag pieces, and those are going to go in the center. And I need to do it this way. So this guy is gonna get not in the wrong spot. Just need to make sure that I'm not over that score line, because we're going to want that to fold. So that's going to go that direction. Then we're going to want this piece centered. So that's going to be centered. This is me just checking placement. Perfect. All right. So I'm a little off. That's why I did not push down on it, because even though I want it centered, I also want it to be the same as this guy. So I'm going to just actually go off of him. Alright. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let me make sure. Alright. Okay, that looks good to me. Okay, now that our mechanism pieces are attached, we're going to attach our oval, and I'm going to attach it from the top first. I'm going to measure and remove my tape backing. Okay. Oops. All right, there we go. There's the card. It's like peekaboo. Okay, then we got to work on our front cover and have some a magnet closure for this guy. All right, so next we have our magnet placement. So we're going to attach our magnet first and cut a little piece of tape. Sorry. About our placement. Then we're going to have this is our place card, and I'm going to go ahead and put it, it's going to be centered about a 1/2 inch up. So that's our placement of our magnet on our card. I'm going to add tape to that. Alright, and then I'm going to attach my little piece that I have here. Okay, then once we get our mats on, we're going to add tape to the back of our piece to attach to our left side of our album. Alright, so we're going to put our magnet in place, hold this guy shut, and make sure it's even. And there we go. There's our piece. Voila! Okay, then we need to do our hinge pieces. I gotta add some tape to both sides of our hinges. So next we need to attach our hinges on the back to make our pocket. So they don't go all the way down. This is for our tags not all the way down. So that's how we're going to attach. So we're going to go ahead and have one of the edges attached flush to the side and at the top. So make sure you're on the facing the correct way. And then we'll attach our bottom one evenly with the two sides. So the two corners will hit the two corners. So it'll be even. Now it's starting to shape up like a pocket. So we prepped our page. I added my two mats to the page, and this guy's going to get attached in the center of the page, just like so. So I'm going to turn this guy so I know where so he's even. Alright, so I remove my tape backing. And I'm just eyeballing to the side to side. Let me see how that looks good. Okay, that's our page. And then we have a pocket at the top. Perfect. Page 6. This is our Waterfall B page. So it kind of puts together similar to Waterfall A, just a little bit more of, instead of a hidden waterfall, it's like a regular drop down waterfall. So we have our flaps for our waterfall, and then we have two pieces. So I'm going to put this off to the side. So our long piece, which is part of our mechanism, just has one score line, and it's the tab. So we're going to go ahead and fold on the tab line and taper the corners. and tape our tab. With our next piece, we have 6 score lines, evenly scored. And we're just going to fold them all the same direction. Alright, then we're going to attach the last piece, the edge, to our tab. So we're going to do flush and even. Alright, so that is our mechanism. This is the part where we are pulling. Alright, before I get any further, I'm going to tab punch the bottom of that. Piece. So I'm going to go ahead and punch, flip, punch. Alright, now with each section, we're going to go ahead and tape. Alright, once all of them are taped, we're going to attach our first flap. Now, all of these, like the first one was not the even sizes, but for this waterfall, they're all the same size. So we're going to attach to the first section first, line it up evenly, and attach. And that is our first piece. Then we're going to connect our second piece. And just go flush to the edge and make sure they're even on both sides. Alright, that is our piece, and just like the other guy, it works the same way. So we have 2 anchor pieces to anchor this guy down, but first we need to mat the back, and then we'll attach this with our anchor pieces. So let me go mat it first. So we're going to attach the anchor to the waterfall page. So we'll need to go to the last flap and add our tape. So we're going to add tape to the very bottom. And then our piece is an inch long, so we're going to need to add a second piece, a little bit less then 1 inch across the bottom. And then we're going to attach it in the center. There we go. So I'm going to take the ruler, find my center point. Now, this is folded with tabs, so you want to make sure that when this is attached, these tabs are going to go underneath. So I'm going to line this up. All right. So then we're going to attach to the page where this folds underneath. Now, my first anchor didn't work, and so I've already put together my album, and that's why the pages are attached on this portion of the video. All right, so we're going to attach this guy about like so. So we're going to attach one side at a time, so we can make sure we get this even. So I'm going to measure, because we're going to attach it about 2 1/4 inches up. Oops. And we're going to want this to go to the very edge. Then we're going to attach the second side. And that's going to be okay. All right, there we go. So just press down on it. And there is our anchor piece. Okay, and that's our waterfall page. All right, we're going to work on our cover. That is our front and back cover and our spine piece. And then we have our cover paper. So this is our front and back cover paper and our spine paper. So we're going to start with our front paper, which is our blue. And I've already taped all of my covers. So what we're going to do is turn this guy over, and we're going to attach him just to the edge. And this is the edge that's going to be, so if you're using directional paper, you'll know this is the edge that's going to be with the spine. So we're going to attach it to the edge, and we're going to have 3/4 overhang on all 3 sides. So I'm going to add some extra adhesive using my ATG. That's my advanced tape glider. I'm going to get my ruler so I can make sure I'm close enough into the center. I'll get my bone folder. I'm just laying it out. Alright. Then I'm going to run my other bone folder that has a tip to it, like your scorer. So this would be your scorer, and just score the edge. Just run it down that edge. It's going to help when you fold your paper over. So we're also going to trim our corners. So I'm going to get my cutting mat out and my craft knife, and we're just going to cut an angle at the corner, and we're going to be about 1/8 from the chipboard. So if you see on a Tim Holtz ruler, 1/8 is the first dotted line. So we're just going to put the point of the chipboard on that 1/8 line. Have it at an angle. It doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to trim that off. Alright. And then we're going to add tape on our edges around the chipboard. I might have to grab some more tape. I'm using 3/8 inch tape. I could have used my 1/2 inch tape. There's that. Alright, then just roll. I'm just rolling my paper edges. And you can take your bone folder and just slide it along the edge. This just gives it a little easier to when you're folding it over. So then we're going to go ahead and fold it over. So we're going to do 2 sides first. All right. I'm going to run this again. So we're going to do, again, 2 sides first. I always press in the middle first and then go outward. Alright. And then I push on the corner. So I'm just pushing inward. Just a little tucking in your corners. And then we attach our last piece. And I like to ink the corners. And then repeat doing the same thing to the back side, except in opposite directions. So we will attach the right side. There we go. So then we'll have 2 of these sides, and then we'll make our spine. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, just opposite sides for the back. Alright, so for the spine piece, we're going to attach our spine piece to the center of our spine paper. So we're going to go ahead and remove the tape backing. And I marked on my paper this center. It doesn't need any extra, but I'm going to go ahead and add it anyways. And again, I'm going to stick this in the center of the paper. Okay. We're going to want to add a piece of tape to both of the edges, 3/4 inches in. It doesn't need to go past the chipboard this is where our chipboard cover is going to get attached. Scissors. So we're going to do that on both sides. And then with our cover, we're going to need to add tape to that. So I'm going to flip this over and add a piece of tape to the edge. And I was wrong. I need to add tape to the whole thing since this gets wrapped. I'm not paying attention. Okay, so this guy is taped, and I'm going to add a smidgen of tape, about a ½ inch worth. What I did was I looked to see where my placement was, noticed I have tape here and here, and just need to close in that gap. And I'm going to do the same thing with the back side. Add my tape. See where I'm going to have it placed, and then add an extra little bit of tape. Alright, and then we're going to attach. Okay, so we're going to attach our front cover first. Get the light out of the way. So we're going to attach our front cover, and I'm going to use a spacer that is 2 chipboard thicknesses. So I'll hold the spacer, attach so it's even at the top and the bottom. So it's flush with the top and bottom, and it'll have that space right there. And that's so when we fold it, it'll have enough wiggle room to fold over without the paper ripping. I might need to remove some of that tape. I'm just pushing back some of that tape so it doesn't get caught. Alright, so I'm going to use my spacer, lining my cover with the top and bottom. Couldn't see it, so I needed to bring it closer to me. Alright, perfect. I'm going to place my paper back down. Then I'm going to repeat for the other side. Okay. Place my spacer. Line it up with the front, the top and bottom. There we go. Alright, before you attach the spine piece, if you wanted to, you could have punched this edge and have that a decorative edge. I'm not doing that because I'm going to add a strip of gold paper just to break these two up. And but if you wanted to, you can always edge punch the front and back of that to give it a little something extra. Okay, so I'm going to use my bone folder, run it, skip this section right here, the space, run it, skip the space, run it. Repeat for the bottom. And then add my tape. I'm going to go ahead and add my tape. And also I'm going to skip the spacing in between the chipboards. I don't need tape there. And also before you attach your spine piece, go ahead and ink the edges if you wanted to ink them. And then we can just fold over the top and bottom. Just rolling it over a little bit. Help me start out. Alright. So I run my bone folder over, skipping this section in between the chipboard because that is vulnerable. It doesn't have anything holding it there. So you don't want to bust through your paper running your bone folder over it. Skipping, skip, over, skip, over, skip. Okay. Now we have our front cover matted. Now we need to do our inside cover. I do want to fold it first. So I'm going to push on the inside of the paper right there. That helps it go inwards instead of poofing out. I'm just lightly folding it. So that is the start of our album. Okay, then our inside pieces. I've already got some pieces. I got pieces. So the inside cover, I have two pieces. I got my top piece, which is just, I'm missing my center piece first. We're going to attach our spine section first. But then we have our top piece, and then I'm going to put this on it. And then I have some extra pieces that I'm going to tab. So it gets the same kind of feel as our page 1 with the tabs. But I need my centerpiece first. So let me grab that. Alright, so for the spine piece, I already cut it out and added some tape. And we need to, so the tape on the spine, it just goes around the edges. Then we need to tape our spine piece on both sides of this gap here. So we're going to, when we tape, we don't want to go all the way to the end. So we're going to stop about a 1/2 inch short, but we do want it flush to the edges of the gap. I'm going to turn this over so I can see it. So again, start about a 1/2 inch or more up, and we want it to go flush to the edge. And this is my 1/2 inch tape. So I'm going to do that to both sides. The reason for this is so your paper doesn't bubble up. If it's further in and you fold this up, you're going to get a bubble, a possible bubble. So this is to prevent any bubbling. And then I'm going to add some more tape in the center of my spine. I'm going to keep covering it. It gets extra tape because it's holding not just the centerpiece, but our pages. So extra tape here is a good thing. Then I'm going to run my bone folder over, make sure it's good and stuck. So now we're ready to attach our centerpiece. So here's my paper. I'm going to attach it about 1/4 from the top and bottom. Looks good. And then I'm going to put my hand where the crease is and hold my paper down. And slowly move my album cover. That's so, I'll hold it down to make sure that paper goes inwards and not pops out. So slowly. All right. And now we see our crease, so when we're ready for matting, we'll see where the placement's going to be. Alright, that looks good. That looks good. Oh, I'm not far enough up. Okay, so first is to punch tabs in on my pieces. So I got my little tabs. Oh. All right. So I'm going to ink everything and add some tape and attach. So I'm going to attach by attaching my white first, then my two tabs, and then my cover. And then to do the same thing on my other side with my back paper. And then we will make some pockets with these guys. Alright, now that I got everything covered on the inside, we're going to work on our pockets. So our pocket pieces are just 2 squares scored on 2 sides only. So we'll fold on the score line, taper, taper the corner, because these guys are going to get tapered a little bit more than normal. So we're going to draw a line from the tip of this corner to the tip of this corner. So it's going to be a tip of the score where it's scored. So I marked it. So that tip to that tip. So we'll draw a line. And I'm going to do the same thing to this guy. And then we're going to cut them off. That's wrong piece. Oh, my mat fell on the floor. Okay. So, where's my craft knife? So from corner to corner, we're just going to cut that off. And cut that off. And when you fold it, you'll see how much that you need to trim off. So your tapering is going to be quite angly. I know that's not a word, but you know what I mean. It needs to be cut more sharply so it doesn't hang off the edges. I'm eyeballing it, but feel free to, you know, you can draw on it so you know where your cut point's going to be at. There we go. And then we're going to add tape. You could have added your tape before you trimmed, since it's a very sharp trim, but that's alright. We'll just cut our tape a little more at an angle. Alright, those are our pockets. So, so our pockets, let me move this out of the way. I have 2 that I've already inked. So you're going to place them on your board for your, I have an ephemera card, a 4x6 ephemera card. So I'm going to space it to fit my card. So these you can either place like so for your card to go that way, or if you want to do your, there's ephemera cards that are up and down, and you can overlap it like that. So whichever cards that you have. You could just take these two pieces and put them on there. So I want to do about like so. I'm going to have that out just a little bit. And I'm using my card as a guide. I'm going to move it over. So I'm going to attach it about, let's see, 1/2 inch from, perfect, 1/2 inch from the edge. And I'll probably move this up to about, say, 5/8 from the bottom. That's what I'll do. So let me move this guy. Alright, and I said, let's see, 1/2 inch in and about 5/8 from the bottom. So this will be 1/2 inch from my, the crease area. I lost my words. 5/8 up. Before I really lay into that, let me make sure this fits. Oh yeah, that's good. Alright, there's my pocket. So just do that to the other side. So if you wanted to do long ones for the side and the other direction for the back side, you can do that. And then you have, you know, more area for journaling, decorating. This corner, you know, I got some gears that I cut out of gold foil paper. You know, or if you did some fussy cutting, I did some fussy cutting out some flowers and just all kinds of neat stuff to play with. So I guess the next step is to attach our pages, and then we can, then I get to do the fun thing and just decorate and put extra stuff everywhere. Got these gears I'm gonna slather everywhere. So the pages, where's my pages? Okay, so my pages has, this is what's going to get attached to the spine, is this section right here. So what we'll do is add tape. So we have 3 pieces that we're going to need to put tape on. And that is just a smidge too tight. So I'll do my 3/8 inch tape right down the center. You're going to want to definitely make sure this guy is nice and snug. And then we'll attach him right on the spine there. So I'm going to tape the rest of them real quick. Alright, so next is attaching our pages. So we're going to get the middle page and we're going to attach it first in the middle. So you're only about 1/4 inch from the edge on either side. And you want to, what I did was mark the middle spot. It's hard to see. Just 1/2 inch. And I did that for the top and bottom. That's still hard to see. So I'm going to turn it sideways. Now what I like about papers that either have lines or dots, it's easy to follow when attaching. So with my dots, I can just line up with the dots to see if it's straight. If you don't have that, feel free to draw a line. If this wasn't dots and this was a solid paper, I would draw a line to follow. Just to make sure that it's even. Because once your first page down, your other two are going to get attached and you don't want them all crooked. So I'm going to go ahead and take off my tape backing. And I'm going to attach to the bottom. Again, it's only about 1/4 of an inch. And so I got a line at the top and the bottom. I see my circles. And I'm going to set that down. And make sure it looks even. It looks even to me. And then I'm going to go ahead and press down on it. And then I'll give it some more presses once all my pages are in. So that is my middle page. So my first page is going to get attached 1/2 inch away from my middle page. So I'm going to go ahead and mark 1/2 inch away. And oops, I'm going to draw 1/2 inch over. And while I'm down here, I'm going to do the same thing with the back side. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my 1/2 inch on the back. Turn it. So again, I'm skipping 1/2 inch because I want 1/2 inch between my pages, and then marking 1/2 inch because that's where my page is going to be. I'm going to do that to both sides. So I'm going to attach both of my pages. All right. Now doing the, because everything's 1/2 inch, the front section and the back section between the front page and the back page is only 3/8 of an inch. It's not 1/2 inch. So let me get that. All right, we're going to work on the first page. I will give you a note that if you're using dots or lines, our first page isn't going to be the same measure at the top it is at the bottom, because this is the base page and this has a pocket on top of it, so it adds some depth, so it's not a direct straight line. So this one I'm going to use the corners that I drew on both sides as my guide. So I'm going to go take this part off, and one corner here. Alright, so I'm going to line up the top and the bottom, and I'm taking my time because I want everything to be straight. So I'm going to use that as a guide. That is a guide. Everything looks straight and smooth. I'll pick that up. Alright, it looks good. Okay. And then our last page. I think I might still stick with going this direction. Yep, I'm going to stick with going this direction. I'm doing this for the video, but I would prefer to put all the stuff on my pages before attaching it to the album. It's easier to move around the pages to attach everything to. In my opinion, you can do any way you want to. Whatever you're more comfortable with. Whatever's easier. Okay. That looks even. even with the back. Looks even with the middle. It looks even at the top and the bottom. Perfect. All right. So then I'll take my bone folder. I'm just double looking. And just wiggle it in there just to get it a good stick. We don't need it to come off. All right. And with these guys, I just put in some of the ephemera tags that we have in the page. And this I'll probably matte because the pocket's deeper. And then I have another one. A couple of the 4x6 cards for back here. And then I got a couple of the cards up at the top. Alright. And just because it's fun to play with. Okay, so I will probably just add some decorations, a little bit of decorations before finishing the album, and take some pictures. And so the next part of this video should have just some extra tidbits. For example, here I left enough room for a gear as an embellishment, and I did leave the room on these corners, and those are also for embellishments if I want to cut a small hot air balloon or flowers or the butterflies. I did want to leave a little bit of room to add some bling to, and but there we go. This guy's kind of heavy, hefty guy. And if you want, you can add stuff to the tabs. And then I need to decorate the front cover. Alright, now that the page construction is all done, I'm going to go through the last half of the album, since I did the first half at the beginning of the video. So I don't need to go through each page again. So we'll get to the second half. I did have one sticker there. I pretty much left these kind of blank for the pictures. So then I have the pocket at the top. This guy opens. And let's see if I can zoom in. And then this side's pocket. Because there are 6 different types of pages in this album, if you just wanted to take 2 or 4 of them and rotated them, you could have an album just like that as well. I like the twist and pops. Have 3 pictures right there, maybe some small ones in the corners. That would be really cute. Okay, and of course I added all the gears to all my tabs. I thought was cute, and that's and then my back little postcard here. That's the album. So again, kits and tutorial are on my blog, www.webofcreativity.net, and the links are below as well to get to those. To get to my page to purchase. Alright, thank you for watching.